There's a question asking about a line of senior vitamins.
When it comes to senior citizens, their requirements aren't unique from, say, anyone else. And it's sort of when I look at beauty products and you see a hair vitamin, a nail vitamin, and a skin vitamin.
Yes.
They're all part of the same system. It's only one product. As we get older, I might say that our requirements for supplementation or our opportunity to benefit from supplementation become even greater. Maybe sometimes it's because of the sins of the past or simply the simple passage of time that our systems are more challenged. But a senior citizen doesn't need a different set of vitamins, meaning our circulation vein support shouldn't be any different from someone who's 75 years old or from someone who's 25 years old. Or say our Essential 1. The same nutrient requirements for a senior citizen would apply. Vitamin D levels, you'll get the same blood levels of vitamin D approximately if you are someone who's 25 and the same body composition as someone who is going to be 65 or 75. So again, I think it's a bit of a fallacy when you create senior vitamins. Perhaps maybe there's certain ingredients, certainly when you look at the leading multivitamins, they love to do that. And usually the differences between the leading multivitamins are silly. When you look at a woman's vitamin versus a male vitamin versus a senior vitamin, they're almost silly. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going through the list of our products in my head, whether we just spoke about cinnamon, we're talking about PC. Yeah. The requirements, these are dietary supplements. It doesn't change whether someone's 80 years old or whether someone's 25 years old. These are not drugs. This is not going to change based upon some disease we're trying to treat or cure, because we're not doing that. So again, that's a bit of a fallacy, that whatever age we are, we have our nutritional requirements and we have our own unique genetic requirements. And that's not differentiated by age, that's just differentiated by our, say, individual biochemistry. So hopefully that answered the question, but I think senior vitamins, it's a bit of a fallacy.
Well, since we've been talking about that, it seems that the pricing on the screen for this one has got everybody's attention. Guys, we'll spend a couple of moments. Liver and the brain, very important.
Yeah, this is something we tend to focus on toward the very end of the year, because this is an ingredient people tend to focus on when it comes time. You know, at the end of the year, we tend to eat with a little more abandon, drink with a little more abandon. But throughout the year, most of us need to take medications. And I think, you know, back to your question on whether senior requirements, I think seniors take many more medications than younger people. So I think someone in their 30s, the average person might take 2 or 3 meds. Right. In our 50s, it might be 3 to 5 meds, and it just keeps going up. That doesn't apply to supplementation, unless, of course, we're trying to support in a healthy way more systems in our body. But on a specific product, it doesn't mean we need more of that. So if you're taking this at 35, 1 or 2 capsules a day is perfect. If you're taking this at 85, 1 or 2 capsules a day is again perfect. And if that weren't the case with any product I made, of course, I would speak to that. Right. Circulation vein support, 2 capsules, perfect. At 25, 35, 85. You're going to get the benefits. You could read the reviews from people 25, 35, and 85. So PC is the principal phospholipid in our liver. It's also the principal phospholipid in our brain. So when we look at phosphatidyl choline, we're looking at an ingredient for those of us who want to support our liver, which is the liver, I always say it's sort of the Rodney Dangerfield of organs. I said vitamin K2 is sort of the Rodney Dangerfield of vitamins. Vitamin D used to be. He was the comedian who used to always say, I don't get respect. Right. I won't do my Rodney Dangerfield imitation. Please. But a long time ago, I actually got to meet him. A long time ago. He's no longer with us, but yep.
This was in California?
In California, yes. Oh. So, but when it comes to phosphatidyl choline, we really don't think about it much, but in the decades since I introduced it, the only thing that's happened is choline's been recognized as being underrepresented in our diet, that we don't get sufficient amounts of choline in our diet, that it's an essential nutrient. So it's something that, whether we're young or whether we're old, phosphatidyl choline is something that's a critical ingredient, especially when we take medicines to support our liver and our liver's requirement to constantly maintain and repair itself in the face of all the kind of dirty work it needs to do on our behalf.
Well, stay right there if you'd like to order it. Can we spend a moment on the liver antioxidants as well? And then we're going to go over to fiber mucil.